all the support we give will be on the basis of that individual person and their circumstances. So, when it comes to something like budgeting, if we're speaking to a company, I'm not going to be suggesting stuff that I don't think that company can feasibly afford. And when it comes to something like accommodation, we're doing a lot of work on that, because that's one of the biggest issues currently for the festival and for people bringing shows to it. So we have a partnership with Theatre Digs Booker, who essentially rent out rooms. They have people around, in different cities around the country, but they work with us for Edinburgh in August, and there are various people with flats and houses, and also just entire properties that we list through their platform, and we've kind of agreed a criteria of affordability for the accommodation that's placed on there. We've also spoken to a lot of the university halls of residence providers in the city, and that's a really good and affordable way for some companies to get accommodation. And then just more generally, we speak a lot with the City of Edinburgh Council and the Scottish Government, and just try and do as much as we can to impact more generally, the city and how its infrastructure can support the Fringe taking place and still remain a kind of accessible festival for people that don't have the means of a huge budget.
The Fringe it can be a really tricky month, and I would always make sure that you're going to the Fringe kind of well supported. We have seen it a few times where you might have a kind of a self-producing solo show where they don't have a kind of a support network, and the month can be a real slog in that sense. But things that we have in place to kind of support artists going up to the Fringe is we run a monthly session in the run up to the Fringe called Pleasance Producers, which takes you through every aspect of the Fringe, so in much more detail than I've just gone into about all of these kind of aspects, but looking forward to the Fringe and what you need to do. So that there's a session on kind of technical, what you need to think about in terms of kind of getting your set to the Fringe, what you need to think about in terms of hires, what you need to think about in terms of the turnaround. There's one on marketing, so how to market your show. There's one on the PR side of things, so what you should be thinking about in terms of your PR campaign. There's one about how to engage industry once you're up there. There's one on how to make the best of the resources of the box office and the arts industry office in terms of setting up ticket deals and that sort of stuff to kind of help build the numbers of your show throughout the Fringe. So those sessions in the run up to the Fringe prepare you for the month that's ahead of you, but it also starts you creating that kind of support network around you of other artists that are performing with you at the Pleasance. In addition to that, this year we did a pilot scheme that we're hoping to develop into next year of a preventative care programme. So through that we worked with Lauren Silver, who runs a company called Playwell, in providing mental health support for our artists. So we had a breakaway space that was based across the road from the courtyard in Edinburgh, and that was a quiet space where it wasn't a working space. You just went and you could it was a decompression space where you could have a cup of tea, you could read a book, you could just sit in silence and escape the hecticness of the Fringe. There were also weekly workshops that had nothing really to do with the kind of engaging industry or anything like that. It was things like tap dance and yoga and mindfulness, things like that, to kind of give people those sort of kind of well-being workshops. And then on top of that, you could be referred to some talking sessions with clinically trained mental health support workers. In addition to that, as part of that preventative care plan, we were able to increase the kind of provision within the Pleasance's team for, a lot of us are now mental health first aid trained, so that provision is kind of ingrained within the organisation as a whole now.